Well, good afternoon. My name is Julie Lebouleux, and I'm delighted to be here to present you some key aspects and regulations if you consider exporting to France. Briefly, let me introduce you to the UKTI France team. It's composed of 3 sector teams: consumer and creatives, engineering and new technologies. We are a team of 30 people whose expertise is committed to deliver UK business development success. I am personally part of the new technologies team. We are a team of 6 people covering ICT, environment and chemicals, and life sciences. As you can see, our sectors are closely connected, as we can have a healthcare application using software, which will have an impact on the environmental sector. So now we're here to talk about handicap and some points that you need to take into consideration when entering the French market. I'll start with key figures. So we consider that 10% of the worldwide population is concerned by handicap, which is around 650 million people. In France, we estimate this number at 12 million, including carers, so most of the time it's relatives who are taking care of people. Here is a breakdown of main handicaps in France. So you've got visual impairments. 61% of this population is age over 60 years old. Mobility handicap, 2 million people. This represents 4% of the general population. Hearing disability, 5.18 million. 5.8% suffer from a total hearing deficiency. And then mental disability. The healthcare market is huge, and depending on your product and whether it is less or more technical, there are several possible routes to market. These are general routes to market. Most of the time, UK companies will go through a distributor working directly with chemist shops, what we call in France pharmacies, and hospitals. Sometimes it will be more relevant to register your product with the main purchasing groups, supplying directly hospitals or through call for tenders. For some products, the company, you, may work with service providers. They act as distributors, but above all, they have a direct contact with patients and can recommend the most appropriate product for them. This is usually the case for stomach care products, wheelchairs, any technical aids, and home care equipment. In my presentation, I will take the example of wheelchairs. We can, of course, discuss your specific product on a one-to-one basis after the presentation. So before being able to sell your product in France, there are some regulation aspects to consider. First of all, the CE marking related to the EU Directive 93/42 for medical devices. As you may all know, this is a mandatory thing, and that it shows that your company and product are in compliance with European and national regulations. Then the ANSM, which is the French National Agency for Medicines and Health Product Safety, stipulates that labeling and instructions of use have to be translated into French to comply with national regulation. For most medical equipment, think wheelchairs, you will have to validate some tests with the LNE, which is a national laboratory for trials. This is an independent certification body providing companies with technical expertise and solutions to ensure the quality and conformity of your products and enhance them on markets worldwide. The price of these tests depends on the technicity of your product. Then the CERA, that you may know under CERATech, which is the French National Center of Study and Research on Disabled Equipment. The CERA is part of the Ministry of Defense and works in a close collaboration with the French Ministry of Health. The CERA accompanies and supports companies wishing to have their equipment tested and supplying training courses to healthcare professionals. Accredited by the COFRAC, equivalent to the UCAS, the CERA is recognized by other European countries in the fields of wheelchairs, technical walking aids, external prostheses, orthopedic implants. It carries out tests for the validation of medical devices and technical aids, for assembling the CE file, and for any technical products to be registered on the LPPR. You've got the price for these tests, which are around 1,500 euros. Now, what is the LPPR? It's the list of products and services reimbursed by the Social Security. The Social Security is the French national insurance scheme in France, which allows patients to be reimbursed for their medical devices, technical aids, medicines, and care services. You can have your product registered on the LPPR to give patients an easier access to medical technologies. However, this registration is not systematic, as it depends on the real medical benefit. For example, products that are considered as comfort products, not essential to life, may not be reimbursed unless they prove a significant improvement to the patient's quality of life. There are two ways of getting your product registered: under a generic description and under a brand name. Under a generic description, what it means: if the product descriptions on the LPPR matches with your product description, there is a single tariff for a set of similar products meeting specifications. In this case, there is no formal registration to be done. You only take the code available with the description on the LPPR and prints it on labels stuck on products, so it is automatically refunded by the Social Security. A simple declaration to the ANSM saying that you are going to use this code for this product has to be made. So here is an example, an extract of the LPPR showing a generic description. So for example, if your product matches with this description, which is vehicle for handicapped people, electric propulsion, non-reclining back, you will use this code on your labels, and you will have to declare it to the ANSM. So then the patient will be able to be reimbursed up to this amount. The other way of getting your product registered is under a brand name. This means that if you consider that your product has a real advantage for patients and stands out from existing products, you can register it under your brand name. This option has to be in depth, as it implies the constitution of several files in French and the payment of fees. For this registration, the overall process takes approximately 180 days. So again, here an extract from the LPPR with a registration under a brand name. So that's for the company Top Chair. They offer an electric stair climbing wheelchair. So they have a specific code for the reimbursement. And here is the date, which is now over, until the product will be reimbursed at this price level. So now we may think that Top Share is reviewing or renewing their registration. So these are the main requirements that you will have to fulfill to sell your product in France. One of the best ways to get a feel for the market is, of course, contacting us, but also visiting trade fairs. So here are the main trade fairs that may be relevant to you in your sector. So we've got les Salons de la Santé et de l'Autonomie in May in Paris. It's a combination of 3 fairs which happened separately in the past. It was Hôpital Expo, dedicated to hospital technologies and equipment. Health IT for technologies and information systems applied to health. And Géronte Handicap Expo, showcasing new equipment for elderly and disabled people. Then you've got Autonomique in June in Paris, a show dedicated to the elderly and disabled population, and Handicap in June next year in Lyon, again a show dedicated to the handicap. Now to finish the presentation, a quick word on cultural aspects. I would say that culture is like wearing a pair of glasses. You have to be open and curious. We are not so different, but there are 3 main things maybe to remember if you consider doing business in France. Hierarchy is important in France. You have to remember who the boss is, because he will be the one taking the final decisions. You will have to build relationship with your contacts. It's not only to do business, you have to get to know the person you're talking to. And if you talk a bit of French, such as bonjour and merci, it's always appreciated. And above all, enjoy the French way of life. Thank you very much.